Greetings, one and all. Welcome to Snack Size DFS. I am Dan Besbris, and I don't know crap about DFS, but you know who does? My good buddy Brenton Eckersley, who's going to break down the Tuesday card for you guys in just a matter of moments. Rapid fire style. That's how Brenton does it. That's how you can get prepped for your DFS card without spending half of your day trying to set up. And this man just brings you winners. His last show, he told you to get down on Braun. Do you guys remember what LeBron did in that ball game? I'm going to give you the line. I'll give you the line because it was worth it. I think that was last Thursday. That was deadline day, right? LeBron went for 42, 17, 8 in that ball game. You want to win, you listen to Brenton. We do rhymes. We do rhymes on the show now. Hey, friends, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you are a seasoned fan or a first-timer, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion, hosting and boasting the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA to college basketball to the NHL and UFC. Football's over, man. You got to get down on something else. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source, taking you from three-pointer to hat trick and back again. BetOnline will cover you with odds, stats, and more while you cover your play every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Brenton, what are we doing today?
Thanks, Dan Besbris. Welcome to another episode of Snack Size DFS. My name's Brenton Eckersley, coming to you from a very hot Adelaide, South Australia. It's 38 degrees centigrade here at the moment, or today. So that's around 100 degrees for you guys working in Fahrenheit. Tomorrow's going to be even hotter. It's certainly sweltering here. We're on a nice little hot streak here on Snack Size DFS. Snack Size DFS is your bite-sized condensed version of the DraftKings daily fantasy NBA slates. We are here for the February 11th games. Nice cute little game card here. 4 games on before we head into a ridiculous 15 game day on Wednesday, which I won't be covering because we'd be here for 4 hours. Game notes for your 4 game day, Tuesday, February the 11th. Every single team is on a back-to-back, and that is because of that 15-game day on Wednesday. So every team we're looking at here, the icon will be up for back-to-backs. We're all going Tuesday, Wednesday. So at least we have the fact that this is the first game for every team on their back-to-back. Thursday is going to be more difficult if I attempt to attack that one because every team playing there will also be on a back-to-back, but into the second games. Some game notes for you in terms of pace and who we can attack. Detroit taking on Chicago. This already has a 237 game total expected from Vegas. Detroit will also get a very nice pace bump here versus the Chicago Bulls, who also give up fantasy points everywhere. So as you can imagine later on in this presentation or video, we're going to see Detroit names. Memphis taking on Phoenix. That's going to be a fast one as well, with Memphis being one of the quickest teams in the league. No game total yet, and I expect the slow one to be Toronto at Philly. Pace bumps, already mentioned that we have Detroit getting a nice pace bump versus Chicago. New York will get a decent pace bump versus Indiana, and Phoenix will get a serious pace bump versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Attack and stack, it's those two teams again. The Pistons taking on the Bulls and the Suns taking on the Grizzlies. Let's jump into the first game of our 4-game card here. As mentioned, every single team on a back-to-back. Toronto and Philly. In Philly, this is a slow game. We have the news that RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and Brandon Ingram are all going to be out for this game. Grady Dick and Mobo both probable at the moment, at the time of recording. Have a look at this price for Emmanuel quickly. 6,100. He's now leaving the minutes restriction behind him. There's no news that he's not going to play here on the first of a back-to-back yet, so we expect him to play. Love this price for quickly. 28 and 30 minutes in his last 2. He should pump through this value quite easily. Scotty Barnes, 9,200. Look, it's a decent price. I'm going to leave him off of my favourite plays board, though. I just think we have better options here for that dollar value later on in the card. Some guys you can take some swings at. Grady Dick at 4,300. Ochai Agbaji at 4K and Mobo at 4,900. Look, all of these guys are just low upside kind of guys. Grady Dick probably has the higher upside if he can really get it rolling with some threes, etc. He's probably my favourite guy out of these three guys, but I'm not overly keen on any of them. They're all low upside. Grady Dick with the highest upside, 25 to 30 DK points from any of these guys on their day. Look, we have to have some low price guys here. It's 4 games. It's only 8 teams playing. So you'll actually see later on in the slides that I've separated my favourite value or my favourite plays into high price guys and mid to low price guys, just to help you guys make some decisions, because we need that value somewhere. Embiid, Gordon, questionable for the 76ers. Paul George has been ruled in, which is nice. Kyle Lowry, which really doesn't mean much for fantasy at the moment, is ruled out. For the 76ers, I like this price for Paul George at 7,400. He is a yo-yo at the moment. This is an excellent price if Embiid sits. If Embiid is in, then again, I think we have some other guys that we can probably look at. Philly and Toronto a slow matchup. I think we have some better options later. Joel Embiid himself at 10K. This is actually a price drop. There's no Jakob Poeltl on the other side of the ball protecting the rim. This is just an excellent play if he actually suits up. 10K for Joel Embiid, one of the highest priced guys on the card, but definitely worth a look here versus Toronto. Quentin Grimes at 4,700. He had 31 minutes in his last game. He also only shot 4 from 11. If he can exceed that kind of percentage on his field goal attempts, then 4,700 shouldn't be an issue. I like this much more if Embiid sits. Couple of guys you can take stabs at here. Your pinata plays would be Kelly Oubre at 6,400 and Yabusele at 6K. Both of these guys, really, I'm only interested in if Embiid does not play. Second game of the day, it's the Knicks taking on the Pacers in Indiana. For the Knicks at the moment, the news is that OG has come up as questionable. He was doubtful earlier this morning. Having him come up as questionable does mean he's closer to playing than doubtful, obviously, but he's heading back to a return. Josh Hart is probable. Karl Anthony Towns at 9,400, yo-yo scoring at the moment. I'm worried about injuries here for this guy. He had a thumb injury, it must be 3 weeks ago now, but it seems to be affecting him. He's also got some knee problems. I'm not interested in Cat here, to be honest, until he gets back to having a healthy body. Jalen Brunson, though, at 8,400, that's a price drop. You can never count Brunson out. The field goal attempts are always high, very high. He dropped 56 DK points on Indiana in our last matchup. Great price for Jalen Brunson at 8,400. Precious Achiuwa, his field goal attempts are just all over the place. He's getting the starts, and the minutes have been there, but the usage is just really hard to deal with for DFS. It's either 12 field goal attempts, the next game 3, the next game 11, the next game 4. So who knows what we're going to get from Precious. You can take a stab if you need to. Miles McBride at 4K, 30 minutes in the last one. Again, it's a switch up between these two guys, Achiuwa and McBride for me. I wouldn't play them both in any lineups. He had 30 minutes in the last game and only shot 1 of 8, so who knows, pinata play. Indiana Pacers, Miles Turner questionable. He did actually practice, so I think that was the status for him last time as well, and he didn't go. So keep an eye on the news for Miles Turner. No other real injuries on the report worth mentioning. Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers, 8,200. Look, at the moment, it's only a small sample size, but there's been a couple of games where Brunson and the point guards of New York are giving up fantasy points. So the shot here at Tyrese Halliburton is going to be a GPP play off of some of the other big name guys that we have on this card. In the last game, in the last game versus New York, 65 DK points. He's also had some poor percentage games in the last few, 8,200. It's a pretty good price for Tyrese Halliburton. He does make my favourite plays here. Pascal Siakam at 7,700. Look, this is probably too cheap. He's capable of 50. It's going to be it's actually going to be a pace down game here, though. So, look, mid-price guy, if you land here, he's probably not going to burn you at 7,700. He's just not one of my favourite guys. Miles Turner, questionable as mentioned. If he does go, and a big if we hear there's 0 minutes restrictions, no minutes restrictions whatsoever, 6K is just too cheap for Miles Turner. He dropped 42 on New York in the last game. And a lot of names here down the bottom that we can take swings at. It's all just pinata stuff. Thomas Bryant's going to be a fairly easy lock-in kind of guy at 5k. If Turner can't go, he'll start. His minutes aren't huge, but he can breeze through 5k value quite easily if Turner does not go. The other two guys, Andrew Nemhard, 5,300. He's had a price drop, and not surprisingly, because the production just hasn't been there. He had 20% field goal shooting on 9 field goal attempts in the last game, and 2 games ago, and in the last game he only put up 1 shot. That's very unusual for a guy of Nemhard's caliber. He has low upside, but you could take a swing at Nemhard here at 5,300. Benedict Mathurin is your swing at the fence guy, your pinata play, your anything could happen here. Could he go for 40? Could he go for even higher? It's a possibility because of the fact that he dropped 56 DK points on New York earlier in the season. Moving on to the third game, Detroit taking on Chicago. We mentioned that Detroit get a huge pace bump here. It's going to be a fast game regardless, but Detroit are the guys to target. Nothing on the injury report yet for Detroit. Cade Cunningham, your number one high price guy on this card. 10-5, can you play him? You absolutely can play him. 53 versus Chicago, and in that game he only hit 10 of 23 field goal attempts. The key number is 23 field goal attempts. He also missed 13 of them and had 3 rebounds only. That's very low rebounding for Cade Cunningham, even though he is a guard. So 53, he could absolutely torch that number here if he can hit a few extra shots and get some more boards. I really like Jalen Duren here at 6,600. We can always target guys going up against Chicago centers. 46 and 52 DK points versus Chicago in 2 previous outings this season. Love the price for Jalen Duren. Asar Thompson, 5,100. So we're seeing the minutes push up again. He's hitting that anywhere between 25 to 28 minutes, and he doesn't need much more than that to get through this value at 5,100. Too cheap. Yeah, his field goal percentage is high, but we expect that from Asar Thompson. 32, 34, and 35 DK points in his last 3. 5,100 is too cheap. Your pinata play here for Detroit is going to be Malik Beasley, 5,500. Look, he is just all over the place, so reliant on high goal field goal percentages. He could absolutely have a day out versus Chicago. There's no ruling him out. Does he make my board later? I'd probably say not in my mid to low favorite plays. For the Bulls, we know that Lonzo Ball is already ruled out and Ayo Dosunmu is probable. On this Bulls team, I really like the price here for Nikola Vucevic, 7,800, 59 DK points versus Detroit, not once, but twice this season. That's all I need to see. 7,800 is a great price for Vuce in this matchup. Josh Giddey with no Lonzo, 46 versus Detroit in previous game. Again, 7,300 is just too cheap with no Lonzo Ball in the lineup. Martas Buzelis, yep, 4,800. Dude starting. He's probably going to start for the rest of the season. His minutes are up. He only had 17 DK points versus Detroit about a week ago, and he had decent minutes in that game. He would be a pinata play only for me here. Last game of the day, and a very short one for Snack Size DFS. Memphis taking on Phoenix in Phoenix. Fast game expected. Bagley is out for Memphis. For the Suns, Beal is already ruled out. Durant is ruled in. And we have Grayson Allen and Vasily Micic as questionable. On the Grizzlies team, Jaren Jackson Jr. at 8,100. This is a price drop. Dude's been scoring very nicely. Had a couple of slower ones a couple of games ago, but he did drop 66 versus Phoenix earlier in the season. That's going to be a nice play versus the Phoenix Suns. Desmond Bane at 7,500. He's back into the lineup. He's more of a GPP play away from some bigger names, I guess. He's had a price drop to 49 versus Phoenix earlier in the season. So both of those guys had great games versus the Suns. Just realised that Ja Morant was out in that game. So we can probably cap that a little bit. I still like the prices for both guys here. Pinata plays here for you. Greg Jackson, GG Jackson, 3,900, or Santi Aldama, 4,600. Don't play them both. We need some low price guys. Take a stab at one of them if you fall there, and I'd feel fairly comfortable that Santi Aldama is probably the better play there at 4,600. On the Phoenix side of the court, Kevin Durant at 9K Dude's capable of anything. He's capable of 60. He had 57 versus Memphis earlier in the year. This is a pace-up game. Does he make my high-price favourite plays? Yeah, he does. Devin Booker at 9,500. Yo-yo scoring at the moment. He did drop 74 points, DK points 2 games ago, I believe, but that was versus Utah. Memphis are a little bit tougher. They still give up fantasy points. I'm not that interested in Booker here. I think we have better options that we've already mentioned. Grayson Allen, however, at 4,900, we already know that Beal is out, so that is almost just a lock-in injury replacement type of play. And some guys you can take stabs on. Bol, look, I just can't trust that this guy will stay at the minutes he's got in the last two, 24 and 33 minutes. If he plays those minutes, we know the points per minute upside is there. He's had 24 and 40 DK points in his last two. I probably won't go there. Feel free to do it if you are a Bol whisperer. Royce O'Neal at 5K, low upside. Tyus Jones at 4,800. His minutes are up. Both of those guys are fairly low upside plays. Let's have a look at my favourite plays on the high dollar side of things. Love Embiid versus Toronto here. Remember that he's questionable. That would be a cash game just because of the name and the opposition that he's facing. Brunson versus Indiana is more of a GPP play. Halliburton versus New York is more of a GPP play as well. Cade versus Chicago, again, most people playing DFS know that Chicago just give up fantasy points everywhere. Cade is in a smash spot, so he probably remains a cash play. Nikola Vucevic at Detroit, I really like this one. GPP play. His price is too low for a guy who put up monster DK points against them earlier in the year twice. Kevin Durant, your last guy there versus Memphis. Big name, fast game, everybody knows that it's probably a cash play. Into the mid and low price guys that I've separated into this 4-game card just to make it a little easier for you. Emmanuel quickly falls into this mid to low price section. He's going to be my favourite guy in this area. 6K is just too cheap for Emmanuel quickly now that his minutes are back up versus Philly. Quentin Grimes versus Toronto is more of a GPP play, dart throw. Thomas Bryant versus New York if Miles Turner is out. I love Giddey and Duran here at their pricing for Giddey versus Detroit and back the other way. Jalen Duran versus Chicago. Asar Thompson versus Chicago also. And now that we know Beal is out, Grayson Allen is a great play for his game versus Memphis. That's it for Snack Size DFS today. Nice short one for you there. 4-game card. Back to you, Dan, in the studio. Please give us a follow. Like, subscribe, Old Man Squad Network, everywhere on YouTube, on the socials, and we will see you for the Thursday games.
Brilliant as always, the great Brenton Eckersley. If you make it to this point in the show, you know what you got to do. You got to subscribe so you get updates. You get pinged by your YouTube page when Brenton drops a new show or when we drop anything here at Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Those subscriptions are a really, 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 really big deal. Make sure to like the video as well. A bunch of likes right out of the chute. People watching it, liking it. That'll push it into more pages and more folks can find the great Brenton at Terrain72 and right here on our Old Man Squad feed. Also, a shout out to our buddies at UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up today with promo code OLDMAN, OLDMAN, and then just pick higher or lower on 2 or more players from the card to get yourself a pick'em page. You can 3x, 5x, 10x, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, up to 1,000x times your initial buy-in. And if you use our promo code or click the link in the show description that's got our referral link in it, you can get up to $1,000 in deposit, match bonus cash, and a free play. Your first one has a free square. So all you have to do is pick one instead of picking 2. Really boost those odds on your first play over at UnderdogFantasy.com. It's so much fun. And you don't actually have to know about DFS, although it helps to take what Brenton just told you. Who are the players that he likes? Boom. Maybe you take some hires on your pick'em card. Who are the players that Brenton doesn't like? Fade them on your Underdog Pick'em card. It's so simple. What was the old adage? A caveman? Yeah, you remember that advertising scheme. I'm Dan, just thanking you all. Thank you to Brenton. Thank you to you guys who continue to watch and like and subscribe as we grow this bad boy. Do all those things. Follow Brenton on social. Don't worry about me. You'll see plenty of me on my own feed. Enjoy the slate. We'll talk to you soon.